How did class struggle evolve from feudalism to capitalism? Imagine a society where power is held tightly by landowners, and the common people work hard just to survive. That's what life was like during feudal times. Society was built around a strict hierarchy. The aristocracy, or landowning nobles, had all the political and economic control. The peasants, or serfs, worked the land and owed their lords labor and produce. They couldn't leave the land or change their status easily. Their lives depended on the landowner's rules. This system was based on hereditary privilege, meaning your family's social position was passed down through generations. The landowners controlled the means of production, which was mainly land, and they extracted surplus labor from the peasants. This created a system of exploitation where the peasants had little say and little rights. Over time, things started to change. Trade and markets grew, and towns became more important. These economic shifts began to weaken the self-sufficient manners. New technologies in farming made food production faster and more efficient. Meanwhile, a new class of merchants and traders, called the bourgeoisie, started to amass wealth through commerce. They weren't tied to land like the aristocrats. They gained power through buying and selling goods. As trade expanded, peasants faced increased pressure. Many lost traditional protections and had to sell their labor for wages. They became wage workers, working for the new merchant class instead of the landowners. This change created a big conflict. The old feudal aristocracy wanted to keep their land and privileges, but the rising bourgeoisie wanted to reorganize society around private property and markets. This struggle was a key part of the shift from feudalism to capitalism. Capitalism emerged when private owners started to control the means of production like factories, land, and machinery. The working class, or proletariat, did not own these means and had to sell their labor to survive. They worked for wages, and the goods they produced were sold for profit. The capitalists kept some of the value they created, which is called surplus value, and this profit was the engine of capitalism. From a socialist point of view, class struggle didn't end with the fall of feudalism. It simply changed shape. Instead of the landowning nobles versus peasants, it became the capitalists versus workers. The capitalists exploit the workers by paying them less than the value of what they produce, taking the rest as profit. This systemic exploitation keeps the class divide alive. The transition from feudalism to capitalism was a long process of economic and social change. It involved the shift from land-based power to wealth based on capital and wage labor. The relations of production moved from personal dependency to market dependency, but the core conflict remained. Socialists see this ongoing class struggle as the driving force behind social change. They believe that understanding this history helps us see why capitalism contains contradictions that will eventually lead to a new system, socialism, where the means of production are owned by everyone and exploitation ends.